Hey, this is Scott. Welcome to my Saturday service. This is the little vlog I've been keeping up with over, I don't know, what is this, my sixth one, so about 6 weeks. And just agreeing with myself to do it. Next week I will not have this. I will be hosting the summer solstice ritual at the UU Church of the Verdugo Hills here in Los Angeles. Technically, I think that's Verdugo Hills, Glendale area, but it's really not that far. If you're in Hollywood, Glendale, Burbank, Pasadena, Northeast LA, downtown LA, we're right there. So I won't be doing this next week because I'll be preparing for a ritual. We've already got a bunch of participants, and so I'm excited for that one. I have been sitting with the week and looking at the messages that I got and just sort of reviewing everything and saying, what's coming? What's the week forward? And what did I really draw from this week? Because that's what I'm really landing on what I want to do here. So this week for me, I don't know how it was for you, but was very busy. So it was very liminal. I was constantly in a kind of magical space because I was doing lots of readings and lots of healings for other people, which means I didn't have a whole lot of time to tend to all the little minutia of my own life, which on the one hand is really great. And on the other hand, I'm like, look over there, like I'm doing something else over there. So I'm not really paying attention to what's happening. So today, as I meditate, I'm going to do some Qigong after this and just really recenter myself to feel into my own life. I'm really thinking about liminality. I'm really thinking about the in-between spaces that we get into. And I think that this is, in terms of magic, like when we cast a circle or we open the veil or we do whatever we do to open the sacred space for ourselves, we enter into that liminal world. We're neither here nor there, but we're kind of in all of the places at once. That's the magic of a circle. That's the magic of that liminal space. It's this corridor, between the worlds where the potential and the possibility is very possible, right? Like we release what we do in this place between so that it crystallizes as a psychic force and an idea so that it can materialize in the world with respect to how clear we were. And that's magic, right? But the problem is when we're in that world, we're really just sort of in the crucible or the container of those energies, and we're not really connected to everything else in the same way. Some authors and some people that I used to follow, would really talk about like the dangers of being too much in a visionary or energetic space. And I tend to agree. We have to be here. We have to be part of this earth because we are part of this earth, right? Like whether we like it or not, like that's the reality of it is here. And these magical spaces allow us to go into those places, to tap into potentials. But ultimately we have to come back here and deal with reality. We have to do the things that make the magic work, or the magic's just going to work us, right? I think that that's an important message for this week. So when I look at the week ahead, I'm like, ooh, what's the moon in? We got Libra now, then we got Scorpio, then we'll have Sagittarius and Capricorn. So I lined up my stones for the week. I got rose quartz and jet and sapphire and onyx for those signs from now and through Saturday. Sapphire is really not an expensive stone unless you're buying like gem cut quality. You can get raw sapphire pretty cheap. I actually have a nice little piece here. That's a great stone for Sagittarius. So that was my one reminder from the week. My second reminder was as I was repairing, I kept on getting Medusa. Like I was seeing her, I have a little statue of her, and I was really feeling that. And I was like, ooh, that's a great force. That's a great martial force. That's a great protective force. Why is that coming up for me? And I was like, ooh, I also want iron this week. So I pulled out one of my railroad spikes. This is one that I use often to tap and clear. But I'll put this on an altar central because remember, your altar is your grounding. It's your centerpiece for a lot. What's happening in your world and what you put, in my tradition, what you put on the altar, it ripples out into your world. But I like to carry a little piece of iron. So I have this worn piece of iron from the beach. It's almost like a little tooth or a bitty nail, and I like to carry that one in my little magical pouch. So I included that in there as well. So when I saw that, I was like, that's a little protective force. Like that's a grounding force for sure, but it's a protective force. So what in this week is calling me to look at protection? when you look at the story of Medusa, you have different takes on it. And you have the one take, where she is, taken in the temple of Athena, and, like in the most horrible way, and then she's cursed, and she becomes this being. And then you have another one where she's taken in this temple where she sought sanctuary, and she's given these powers to protect herself henceforward. Thus she could petrify and turn to stone, her enemies, right? And so you have the option in the stories. It's like, is she a victim, or is she a victor, right? Is she cursed or is she blessed? Like, what's the story here with Medusa? And we don't know if it is one or the other. I mean, that's ancient world story. If we go back far enough, maybe our versions of the story actually are askew as well, because time has a way of aging things. I was just watching the latest Doctor Who, and which I loved, the finale, and they kept on saying, time is memory. Time is memory. Memory and time are the same thing. And I was like, ooh, that's good writing. And it's the things that we remember that shape our time, that shape the way that we see things. And, the stories we tell us, shape the way that we see things. So, look at the story of Medusa, like in your telling of it, is she, this angry victim who's seeking justice, or is she has experienced this and now she's blessed with these powers to deal that justice? Where is her heart in that story for you? Because that's where your heart is, right? So for me, it's not this angry, harmed person. When I see Medusa, I see this very empowered, transformed person who has the ability to, turn to stone, to petrify, in these powers. When I see her, I see someone who's been transformed by what was, right, into something, rather than disempowered is empowered, rather than cursed is blessed. Arguably, I'm a glass half full person. I am. But I think that that's always a choice. We have the opportunity to choose those things. However you want to spin it is however you want to spin it. But recognize that you are the one that's spinning the story based on those emotions, based on those stories that you tell yourself. And they don't necessarily reflect the actual world. They reflect your experience in the world. But they aren't set in stone. You have the opportunity to change those narratives. Sometimes it's hard enough, but you can over time. There are ways to do that. We can carry stones as little octaves of things. We can retell stories. We can pull cards. We can look at those sorts of things. I had a conversation with someone this week in a reading, and I said, here's a story from my own therapy experience, and I love therapy. If you can get therapy if you have a good therapist. I'm 51. I don't remember all the contents of my childhood. I lived for a long time with the belief that something horrible happened to me in my childhood. This may be heavy, but I'm not going to say anything that's going to trigger anybody. But there was no evidence of this. There was evidence of lots of things, but there was no evidence of this. And no matter how I looked at it through therapy and through the therapeutic lens or meditative lens, it wasn't there. But I believed that it was, because there had to be a reason for this feeling that I was having. My therapist at the time was really good at getting me to shift my focus and got me to focus on the possibility of what could be instead of what was, because there was no way to tell what was and couldn't change what happened. So the only thing that I could do was really focus on the present and how I felt and what was next. And that ties into my Medusa story. Is Medusa focused and chained to the past, and so becomes, this face and snakes because of this horrible past? Or, right, is she focused on the present and she's taking this power that she has now and making changes for the future? That's my offering. I pulled 2 cards this week. One I pulled from the Tarot of the Spirit by Pamela Eakins, and that was the 2 of Cups. She calls this the sacred cord. When I see this, I'm always like, this is the Biddy Lovers. This reminds us in small ways to connect with those we love and sort of share in that fellowship, that harmony, that family, that partner, that whatever it is, with something light, something that opens up the heart. So treating the heart this week is a good. From the B Tarot, I pulled the Seven of Swords, and this card really speaks to, yes, someone has wronged you. Yes, someone busted up the hive, but what are you going to do about it? What are you going to make it your focus? Are you going to live in fear of someone busting in and stealing the hive next time? Or are you going to use this as an opportunity to prepare yourself for something new? I really like those cards, right? Like I thought about my week and then I pulled cards and look at that. What a coinkydink. I get those two cards, which reflect the same message, which is one of the reasons I love working with the tarot. It is the mirror of the soul. It is the journey of the fool, and you and I are the fool, and there it is. There it is. So this week, I got some stones for you if you want to join me in that. I got rose quartz, jet, sapphire, and onyx, or anything that resonated with those things. When we connect with the moon, we connect with the stars, we connect with the stars within us. We connect with those stories within us. Stones are the easiest way by finding something that resonates with the best quality of those astrological signs or those constellations. For yourself, carrying a piece of that is a charm to draw in the light of that energy that you'd like. You might want to look at protection this week. I'm going to add iron to my work. You can also use obsidian, like a nice little obsidian arrow, like for those sorts of things, or even just a nail in your pouch, if you have a little witch's pouch. Just as a reminder that, the world is what it is and you do need protection. So Medusa's not wrong, but not to be overprotective, not to be over martial in those instances. Got something in my throat. That's what I got for you this week. This is Scott Smith. You can find me at starandstonellc.com. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be, and thanks for watching.